Hey, what's up, YouTube? My name is Camilla. I make videos for the Erin channel. Some people also know me as Erin. And I make videos related to intersex topics. So people that have intersex conditions, that is my main shtick. Like, that's what I make videos about, is like sharing my experience as an intersex person. I do believe that my journey aligns very closely to a transsexual's journey from one gender to the other. I also do have gender dysphoria. So in that sense, I feel that I do have a gender identity issue. And I believe that it's partly through dysphoria and partly through being hermaphrodite. So I was born with persistent Müllerian duct syndrome. I'm legally female, but was raised male, and later in life transitioned to female. I'm going to share my story in regards to some body changes on hormones and my experience on hormones. And I'm going to focus on secondary sex characteristics development in this video. So I'm just going to let everyone know, if you're a follower of my channel and watch my videos regularly, you'll know that I did have surgery this past Friday. I had surgery on my inner ear. I have Meniere's disease, and I've gone deaf in my right ear as a result of it. I had an injection through my eardrum and into my inner ear slash cochlear area of dexamethasone. That's a steroid. I think it's a corticosteroid that goes directly to my bad ear. I have been taking prednisone orally for the past like 6 weeks, and it's been driving me insane. So I ended up having this procedure trying to preserve my hearing. And I'm not trying to go off on a rant. I'm just letting everyone know that I'm doing all right. I've been healing, and this is my first video since I had my surgery. Secondary sex characteristics are something that transgender people develop when they take HRT or cross-sex hormones, whichever you prefer to call it. I'll just call it HRT for this video. HRT is something that can go both ways, male or female. Trans men take testosterone, and trans women take estradiol, and generally a testosterone blocker. I want to let everyone know I am not giving medical advice. I am sharing my experience. And I do want people to understand that my experience is a mileage may vary experience. I do believe me being intersex has a lot to do with why my body developed the way that it did. And I'll talk more about it in this video. So when I started hormones, I started a testosterone blocker 2 years before I started estrogen. So I started testosterone blockers at 21 years of age, and I went on estrogen at 23. I'm now 34, so I've been on HRT for going on 11 years on estrogen and about 13 years on testosterone blockers. So one of the first things that happened for me, and I'm going to talk specifically about chest development, is that breast development is something that's going to occur if a trans woman takes cross-sex hormones. Obviously, you can't change your sex. You're born whatever you're born as, you'll die that way. But we can make our bodies on the outside closely resemble the sex that we identify as. For me, I identify as a female, and I take female hormones. And I like to share that my breasts are all natural. When I say all natural, it doesn't mean I grew them with no hormones. I have persistent Müllerian duct syndrome. I do not have ovaries, though, so my body doesn't produce the natural estrogen levels that a non-trans woman would produce, a real female. My breasts developed to 36 D-cup breasts. So my breasts are what you see, just like my cleavage. This is all from hormones, and it took some time to grow breasts. Like, breast development is something that I think I always talk about patience and being patient in your transition. I do believe that being patient is the most useful thing you have. It's your most useful tool in your arsenal when you're going to transition. It's going to help you. And the breast development is something where some trans women don't get enough, and they decide to get breast augmentation and get their boobs enhanced. I kind of have the opposite experience where my breasts grew bigger than I was hoping. As a result, I do have a larger chest, and I'm very self-conscious about it. I've considered breast reduction, but I'm not really willing to forego any nerve damage or sensitivity loss that I have in my breasts, because my breasts are important to me, not just for being a trans woman and expressing my gender, but also they're important sexually. They're important for a lot of reasons, and they can make me have, happiness in my transition. But one of the issues I have is that I struggle with weight my whole life. I've usually been too thin, and I have an eating disorder. And as a result, when I went on hormones, I gained weight. And on estrogen, your body retains fat, it retains weight. And my breasts started to develop, I would say within the first year on hormones, my breast probably developed to a B cup. I don't know the band size. I would say that I had B cup breasts within 12 months of being on hormones. My breast maxed out growth at about 4 to 5 years on hormones. So my breasts were not always as big as they are currently, and I'll explain why. But my breasts developed to about a 38C, and that was like what I wore, like a 38C. I only wear Victoria's Secret's bras, so I don't know, like I haven't bought bras from other brands, but I wore, in Victoria's Secret's bras, I wore the 38C for the longest time, and when I went on injections much later in my transition from switching from the pill to injections, my breasts grew even more. So anyway, not trying to get ahead of myself, but breast development generally takes between 1 and 5 years on hormones. So a lot of women will start HRT, and they'll be on their, trans women will start HRT, and they'll be on their HRT, and at a year they're dissatisfied with their breast size. And I have a lot of people reach out to me and ask me, is this normal? And I'm not trained to give medical advice. I share my experience, but I always tell people, I have friends in real life that think that their breasts are too small and have considered breast augmentation. And as I said, that basically always it's important to wait and not to get ahead of yourself. The reason I mentioned I had an eating disorder was because when my breast grew, body mass increased because I was holding weight in my chest. And it makes me feel fat. In fact, I get body dysmorphia from my eating disorder because of my breasts. So I'm very self-conscious of wearing like push-up bras, or like I'm wearing something low cut in this video, but usually I always try to kind of like make my breasts look smaller than they actually are, because I feel like I have a lot of weight in my chest. That makes me self-conscious because it makes me feel fat. And that's the reason that I wish that I could get a breast reduction. Another thing about having larger breasts is it does bother my shoulders and my back. My breasts have given me some issues. Trans women can get breast cancer, and last summer I had a breast cancer scare. I had a mammogram and found a cyst on my breast, my right breast, and I had to go. I went through several different scans, including like an ultrasound of my breast, and I was prepared for the worst, and thank God, knock on wood, that nothing, it ended up being benign. I had a biopsy on the breast that was affected. I was worried I was going to lose my breast. But trans women do develop mammary glands and are capable of lactating. Obviously, trans women should not be breastfeeding, even if a doctor induces lactation. I don't think that a trans woman's body is designed to feed a baby through breastfeeding. I don't think that the breast milk probably has all of the essential ingredients that a natal female can produce. So I do not think that breastfeeding for trans women is a good idea. Um, Breast development in general, I'm kind of all over the place, but I'm trying to just paint a picture. I would say from like my first 2 years into hormones, I never had significant pain in my breast. So I never specifically had horrible pain where if I like bump my boob on something that it would hurt me bad. I've heard like it's like the equivalent of getting kicked in the balls, and I don't know what that's like because my testicles never descended from my intersex condition, but I know that that's probably very painful, and it can make guys drop to their knees if they get hit in the balls. And apparently, to a lot of trans women, breast development is very sensitive and that they can hurt. I never went through that much pain. And I will say that it's very important to wait. Do not rush getting a breast augmentation. Even if you're patient, I would give yourself 3 to 5 years on hormones before you're really going to be willing to commit to an augmentation. The reason that I'm so conservative with how long I would wait was because I went to this transgender support group, and this girl started hormones, and not this, she was a lady, and she was an older trans lady, I should say, and she was impatient. She started her hormones, and at like 6 months, she got a breast augmentation, and it looked fine. I mean, she had nice, it was good breasts, it was a good surgery, it went well. But what happened is for the next, 2 to 3 years on hormones, her natural breasts continued to grow, and it made her develop very uneven breasts. Um, Getting a breast augmentation too early can negatively affect you in a lot of ways. You may look silly, they may grow big and uneven. There's a lot of downsides to breast augmentations, and maintaining breast augmentations is a lifelong it's a lifelong commitment. If you ever have to get them redone and get revisions, it can be costly. I never really wanted bigger breasts. I always have felt for myself, I wish I had little breasts, like B-cup breasts. I think that like the Lolita, like smaller chest, like slimmer figure would be prettier. I'm Cuban, so like I'm a curvy Latina woman, a trans woman. And because of that, my chest developed, I think genetically, like, I have bigger breasts than my mom, but most of the women on both sides of my family have pretty large breasts. And genetically, I do believe that um, I grew larger breasts just due to my genetics. And it's interesting having larger breasts than my own mother, just because usually the rule of thumb for trans women is a trans woman will develop breasts about 1 cup size lower than their mother. So if you're a trans person on average, if your mother had D cup breasts, you'll probably have C cup breasts. If your mom grew C cup breasts, you'll probably have B cup breasts. So it's usually 1 cup size lower than your mother's breasts, but that is not always the case. My breasts are much larger than my mother's, and it is what it is. I've come to terms with my breast. I will mention that I did go through a phase where I lactated, and I don't know what was causing it. I was on the same dose of hormones and everything, but I would say between 1 and 2 years, I went through a period of heavy, heavy lactation, where like if I was to just squeeze my breast, it would squirt out like a water fountain out of my breast. And I had to go to my gynecologist and have my breast actually expressed, because that was the only pain that I had, was when they had to drain my breast milk. I was I was heavily lactating, and I didn't know how to express it, and as a result, I got sore and swollen. So don't be surprised if you do lactate. I make these videos just to share my experience. This video is on breasts. Breasts are very important to most trans women. They're very affirming. Obviously, we will never be natal females, but this allows us to resemble a natal female and have some of the same secondary sex characteristics that natal women do. For me, my breasts, the reason that I'm so happy with them, minus my insecurity of their size, is that during sexual intimacy, I find them to be a source of, it's an arousing and erotic zone. So it's a wonderful erogenous zone, and it's able to enhance my sex life. Um, it's something that, I think every woman, cares for her chest and has, it means something to her because it's, especially for trans women, what I'm trying to say is that having breasts is part of, being a woman. And even if you're just a trans woman, having breasts is kind of a rite of passage. Growing breasts is a rite of passage. And I'm very grateful that I did grow breasts. I wish they weren't as big as they were. But with that being said, I'm happy and grateful for what I have. If you've learned anything about breast development from this video and you have any questions, feel free to comment. If you enjoy my videos or have been watching, I suggest you subscribe. If you want to ring that bell for notifications, you will be notified every time I upload a new video. I try to upload videos 1 to 2 times a week, and it's been hit or miss what days I upload recently. But I appreciate you watching this video. Go ahead and like this video if you've watched this far, and I will see y'all next time. I appreciate y'all so much for watching, and thank you all for the support through my surgery and everything in the YouTube community section of my profile. I really appreciate y'all so much. You guys really make my day sometimes, and means a lot. I'll catch you next time. Bye.